Our cities are growing at a breakneck pace, but are they actually growing smarter? Today, we're doing a visual walkthrough of a really important academic review that asks a huge question. How can we use data to build the sustainable cities of the future? Let's dive in.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the massive challenge our cities are up against. Then, we'll look at the key to unlocking sustainable solutions. Check out the high-tech tools making it all happen, see them in action, and finally, wrap our heads around what this all means for our shared future. So let's set the stage. For the first time ever, more than half of all people on Earth live in cities. This isn't just a small trend, it's a massive, ongoing shift that's putting a kind of pressure on our urban centers that we've just never seen before. It's creating these super complex challenges that, frankly, demand some seriously innovative solutions.
And this is the vision that's emerging, right? The smart city. But as you can see, it's not really about flashy gadgets. It's about a deeply interconnected ecosystem. Think of it, waste management, public transit, the energy grid. They're all talking to each other, constantly optimizing themselves using a non-stop flow of data.
But here's the thing. To make a city not just smart but truly sustainable, the research is super clear on this. You've got to balance three crucial areas. It's like a three-legged stool. If one of those legs is weak, the whole thing just falls over.
First up, you've got the environmental pillar. I mean, this is the foundation, the health of our planet. It's all about switching to clean energy, getting away from fossil fuels, and really thinking about how we can design cities that work with nature instead of just paving over it.
Next, the economic pillar. And let's be real for a second. Building all this smart infrastructure is incredibly expensive. So you've got these tough questions. How do we actually pay for these massive projects? How do we manage the costs? And maybe most important of all, how do we make sure that these big tech leaps create an economy that works for everybody, not just a handful of people?
And finally, tying it all together is the social pillar. Because what is a city if not its people? Any smart solution has to actually make our quality of life better. It has to be designed around the real needs and habits of the people living there. Encouraging us to get involved and making sure technology serves the community first.
So we've got these huge environmental, economic, and social hurdles. And this is exactly where the paper we're exploring makes its central, really powerful argument. It says the key to solving all these complex problems is hiding in one specific kind of information.
I mean, when you look at all this complexity, you have to ask yourself, where do you even start? How can you possibly begin to optimize a system as tangled and intricate as a modern city? Well, the answer, according to this research, is geospatial data. It sounds fancy, but the idea is actually super simple. It's any information that has a geographic location attached to it. It's the difference between knowing that there's a traffic jam and knowing precisely where it is down to the city block.
And this, right here, is the core argument of the paper. Understanding the where is everything. It's the context that connects it all. Where is pollution the worst? Where is the perfect spot for a new park? Where do people need public transport the most? Location is what lets us see the patterns so we can make smart, targeted decisions across all three pillars of sustainability.
Okay, so if location data is the secret sauce, how in the world do we actually get our hands on it? Let's pop the hood and look at the high-tech toolkit that planners and researchers are using to see our cities in a completely new light.
The paper breaks it down into three core technologies, and a really cool way to think about them is that they give us three totally different but super powerful views of the city. A foundational digital map, an all-seeing eye in the sky, and a network of digital nerves right on the ground.
First is GIS, or Geographic Information Systems. This is your home base, your foundation. Imagine a ridiculously powerful digital map when you can just stack different layers of information on top of each other, like roads, buildings, population, to see how everything is connected. Then we have remote sensing, our eye in the sky. This is where satellites come into play. They give us that huge, big-picture view, letting us track large-scale trends over time, like how a city is sprawling outwards or where its green spaces are starting to disappear. And then, bringing us right down to the street corner, we have the Internet of Things, or IoT. These are the thousands upon thousands of tiny sensors embedded all over the city, giving us a live, second-by-second pulse of what's happening right now, everything from air quality to traffic flow.
So we've got the problem, we've got the key insight, geospatial data, and we have the tools to gather it. Now for the fun part. Let's see how this all comes together to create tangible, real-world solutions that are actually making a difference.
This slide from the research is a fantastic example of how these tools work together.
So on the left, you're seeing GIS data being used in Porto, Portugal, to map out areas with urban risk. Then, on the right, you have remote sensing data tracking the health of the plants and trees in that same area. On their own, they're useful, but when you combine them, suddenly planners get this incredibly rich, multi-layered picture of their city's challenges.
And this approach isn't just for one or two little things. The literature review shows that this geospatial way of thinking is being applied across a huge range of critical domains, from planning for disasters and managing water to fixing traffic and monitoring pollution. It's basically becoming the new language of modern city planning.
So the huge takeaway here is that all this data isn't just data. It's what makes these powerful, transformative applications possible. We're talking about smart grids that send energy where it's needed most, intelligent transport systems that cut down on traffic and emissions, and even smarter emergency responses that use location data to shave off precious minutes that can save lives.
And that brings us to our final section, the big picture. What does this research really add to the conversation, and what does the road ahead look like for building these smarter, more sustainable cities?
So what's the real value of a review paper like this one? Well, it cuts through the noise. It takes this huge, complex field and gives us a clear framework. It connects the dots between the technologies like GIS and IoT and the big goals like sustainability. It shows us what's working, points out new trends, and shines a light on the challenges we still need to figure out.
And this really is the ultimate takeaway. By putting location data right at the very heart of how we plan our cities, we can go way beyond just making them smart. We can actually engineer them to be resilient enough to handle future crises, equitable enough to serve all their citizens, and truly sustainable for generations to come.
The technology is here. The data is available. The potential is absolutely immense. The research makes it clear. We have the tools we need to build better cities. The only real question left is, what are we going to choose to do with them?